They're one of the many different species that exist in Neopia, and as a general rule, they're fantastic swimmers that are just as happy on land as they are underwater. Today we're talking about the
acara, 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 acara.
That was a very smooth transition, and today you're very lucky because we're going to dive into something that you've always wanted but never knew. That is the
acara.
Deep lore in their history. When did our little friends come to be? That would be April 28th, 2000, when the new features page announced a new Neopet, the tigrin. For context of the reach of Neopets at this time, if you look at April 27th, they got voted the top fun site in Australia. Earlier in April, they had moved from the UK to California for their base of operations. Finally, on July 19th, 2000, there's an evolution and the tigrin becomes what we know today as the
acara.
If you were wondering what the caption contest winner for this was, it was Ossifer. I swear to drunk I wasn't God when that hydrant hit the checka. Burp. And also it includes the word drunk. Very, very child and family friendly Neopets. Good call. In the beginning we had the tigrin and it had some important features. The features we're going to focus on are the bushy tail and the aquatic fins coming from the head. By the time that we progress to the
acara,
we see that the fins have turned into double ears. There are now tendrils. The bushy tail is missing, as is the body, with the arms and legs projecting from the head of the
acara.
The third edition still does not have a tail. It has tendrils and it has the fins, and it looks like there may be a bit more of a body than in the previous version. The fourth edition is more what I think of when I think of the traditional
acara
that I would recognize from when I started playing the game. We have here the artifacts of the fins that appear to be large ears, the tendrils, and a full pronounced body with an absence of a tail. The only functional difference we see between the fourth and the fifth one is an increase in art quality, as well as the confirmation that there is not a tail on this animal, at least from this vantage point. There is a body, the legs are attached to that body, there are tendrils, and there are ears. These are the relics of what used to be very evidently fins. Alright, right about now you're asking, Julie, what are you bringing to the table? What are you moving the conversation forward with? Because these are just observations that most people have probably made if they've looked at the old art. There are fins, there are tendrils, there's no tail. What is so important about this? Okay, so the big game changer about
acara
that when I learned, I realized there's a huge story here is the fact that they have a major deep lore descriptor that never gets used ever in the Neopets canon.
acara
Can breathe underwater just as well as they can on land. That's it. That's the huge fact that is never brought up ever anywhere else. The fact that
acara
are not only aquatic Neopets, but that they can fully breathe underwater. This piece of canon does come from the Neopets TCG, and I recognize that not every user had access to the TCG. You had to buy the cards. These cards were available online, however, you may not have clicked through all of the descriptors. There's pretty much no reason to, unless you're a lore junkie. So there was another card from this base set, which is what the game launched with, and it is the red
acara
can hear it while underwater, thanks to those two long things growing from their heads. So the tendrils help them hear underwater, and what appear to be ears are still fins that help them breathe underwater. There is even still a third card that alludes to the fact that they can breathe underwater. The third card is the
acara
Treasure Seeker, and it says, one of the Acara's favorite pastimes is diving for hidden treasures off the coast. It doesn't specifically call out to the fact that they could breathe under the water. It is kind of implied, I guess. This I'll give them. This is it being integrated into content. The other instance where it is integrated into content is the acara welcome animation. If you're investigating pets to adopt them, the greeting for the acara is set underwater. Those are the four instances where this characteristic of the species is canonical. What I didn't show you is all the times where it was absolutely neglected. For instance, the Curse of Morocco plot, where an entire plot point was the fact that the pirates can't breathe underwater, and the mer people, the Moroccan citizens, have to provide magic technology for the pirates to be able to breathe underwater. My question is this: how come not all pirates in Neopets are just acara? They can breathe underwater. It makes complete and total sense. The 2011 Facebook game app Treasure Keepers featured an acara as a smuggler. However, it isn't explored whether or not she has this breathing underwater capability. A curious aspect of this forgotten piece of lore is that aquatic Neopets don't need to be painted Moroccan. For instance, you can't paint a koi Moroccan. The same cannot be said for acara. Even though they should not have an underwater equivalent because in their natural state they are able to live underwater, there is a Moroccan acara. There are two possible explanations for why the acara is no longer obviously amphibious. The first is that the species evolved and this attribute just no longer exists. The second is much more human and understandable, that the lore was lost to time. Neopets has switched hands through many different staff members over the years, and this is the type of attribute that would just get lost in the shuffle. If you didn't know this, then you won't know this. I only came to learn this when I was going through trading cards. The final artifact of acara lore that I want to review is the acara default pet page. Neopets released pet pages when they released every species that are unique to that species, and it includes a little bit of world-building flair in each of them. If you notice, the acara pet page has an underwater background, and the pet pets mentioned in the upper portion are all aquatic pets. While the likes and dislikes carry a standard assortment of nice snacks and transmorfiguration potions, there is a blurb on Princess Fernie-Poo. It is a figure, the first that I thought of when I thought of famous acara, besides Roberta from the PlayStation 2 game. So Princess Fernie-Poo is a character in the game Cheat, which is a very standard BS card game on the website, and she was a very early on pop culture figure on Neopets. And the acara page talks about her quite a little bit. I really treasure these pet pages, and I hope that you enjoy reviewing them, and if you haven't had a chance, I recommend that you give them just a look for your favorite species. Anyways, this concludes my tour of the species acara. I hope you enjoyed learning all about acaras.